In a story that's brought in James Bond into the very exciting world of B2B SaaS, we are talking about a corporate espionage case that has the business world shook.
It's true. We haven't seen corporate America this abuzz since the WeWork CEO took his shoes off in a board meeting.
Yes, and the alleged spy, I believe, kept their shoes on, but however, allegedly, they did try to flush their phone down a toilet in Ireland. So we're going to cover every hilarious detail of this case and why even if you're not a corporate spy, this matters to you. Let's get into it.
Okay, so I've seen the headlines. I've seen, the murmurings, the excitement, the videos.
Corporate espionage.
What's going on actually?
Any day that the word corporate espionage is thrown around, it's a great day.
Exactly.
So let's set the scene.
Yep.
Rippling, B2B SaaS company, very exciting.
Very exciting.
Deel, B2B SaaS company, also very exciting.
Do they do the same staff?
I think.
Okay.
No one really knows what B2B
Great.
SaaS companies do.
Sure.
Full disclosure, my wife works for Rippling.
Yep.
I don't think she's a spy. Fingers crossed. So Rippling has sued Deel, and they have filed a 60-page complaint, which I have in my hands that I printed off.
If you are listening to this, he has 2 handfuls of documents.
Yes. This cost Morning Brew probably thousands of dollars to print this morning. So let's break down, if you've missed the headlines, what is going on. So Rippling has sued Deel, and essentially they have claimed that a Rippling employee was operating allegedly as a Deel spy. So someone working for Rippling was using information that Rippling had and allegedly giving it back to Deel so Deel could have some competitive advantage.
Yeah, what kind of information is competitive?
Exactly why I did a massive print. So apologies to all the trees. Let me go through the court filing because it's actually, some parts are genuinely hilarious because the court filing, you have to introduce these companies and what they do in a way that a normal person could understand. And my lax understanding of the law, because I did apply to law school once, is that everything in here, it has to paint the full picture.
Right.
Because once you file the complaint, you then can't oh, we forgot this thing. It's a whole other process. So a few things I found very funny. One, Rippling calls out a Nepo hire.
Whoa.
Apparently, which we just did an episode on, where they're saying that Deel's board chair, chief financial officer, and, quote, the father of the CEO. They didn't need to do that.
They dug in deep.
They dug in deep.
Twisted the knife.
Inside of this complaint, they say, quote, the spy searched the term Deel in Rippling systems an average of 23 times a day over a 4-month period.
Okay, that's that's once every 20 minutes.
Yeah. That's you pretty much search Deel, you look at stuff, you go to the bathroom, you come back, you search Deel, you look at new stuff.
That's crazy.
So searching a lot. They said, for example, in just one single day, Deel spy conducted searches that revealed 728 new companies requesting a demo of Rippling's products, 282 in-depth notes from Rippling account executives on companies. So again, gathering information, allegedly, that could help Deel. Then Rippling does what, quote from the complaint, security professionals as a honeypot. So what this is they basically created a fake Slack channel. Then they emailed this to important people at Deel.
What? Okay, so how did they email? They were like, hey, our Slack channel.
Yeah, so they basically made up the Slack channel called hashtag #DDefectors.
Oh, Deel
meaning
defectors.
Deel defectors. So the idea was this was Rippling employees who used to work at Deel, and they were spilling all the tea in this alleged Slack channel about Deel. And so a select few people at Rippling, including, I believe, their general counsel, emailed these 3 important people at Deel. It was their general counsel, maybe the CEO, but very high up in the company. And we're like, hey, we have this Slack channel. There's some pretty embarrassing information about Deel in here. And they blacked out some of it. And just letting you all know.
Ooh.
And the only people at Rippling that knew this Slack channel existed were 3 people. The only people that saw this email were 3 people at Deel. Shortly thereafter, Rippling, the person they thought was the spy, started searching for the Slack channel.
So they named the Slack channel in the email.
Yes. Ooh. So then they were like, okay, one, we made the Slack channel up. We just created it this morning. And the only way the spy could have known that the Slack channel even existed was if there's communication allegedly to Deel. So they literally honeypotted them. I was like,
that is so cool.
They need to make this into a movie.
Yeah.
Then a court-appointed solicitor comes to the Rippling office in Dublin, Ireland,
where
the alleged spy works, and basically said, "Hey, we need your phone. I'm a court-appointed solicitor." The spy runs into the bathroom, locks himself into the bathroom, and then like there's I think in here they say like they heard flushing or like maybe they tried to flush the phone down the toilet to like ruin the evidence. And the court solicitor repeatedly warned them, do not delete materials from your phone. The spy responded, quote, "I'm willing to take the risk," and then fled the premises.
Oh my God. I mean, that is absolutely bananas for a B2B. Like, these are supposed to be boring companies. What is going on?
This alleged spy, I'm like, how much do you love B2B SaaS? Like, you are really...
Well, okay, I mean, he's probably getting paid, right?
I would hope. Or
so
maybe they're doing it for the love of the game.
You know, that would be even more diabolical, and I think I would respect that.
The other funny thing in the complaint is like it kind of gives Rippling a chance to brag about itself in a formal law document, which I just thought was hilarious. They're like, since its founding in 2016, Rippling has been a leader in this space, developing over 20 best in-class technology-first solutions, now used by tens of thousands of customers around the world. Due to the breadth of Rippling's platforms, Rippling has competitors in every market segment in which it operates. Kind of good marketing.
Honestly,
they just threw in some marketing lange, sue a company. It's blown up now. Everyone's reading about Rippling.
It's true.
Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. Although there's been some. The girls are fighting, I'd say.
Yes.
Online.
The last thing I'll say is, again, you have to like describe this so like a normie could understand it, and so they have to walk through like the sales process, and there's literally like. Like a marketing funnel diagram in here.
Yeah, Kyle's holding up a word art graphic that shows the marketing funnel.
Yes, they're saying how like they use tools like Slack and Google Drive and Salesforce and how this is normal in a technology company. So the complaint is actually like pretty hilarious if you want to go read the exact details.
All 60 pages of it?
All 60 pages. I was reading it last night at 11 p.m. and I quickly realized I need another hobby. But, okay, so Kaila, reactions to this story and what does it kind of spark inside of you?
Well, first of all, I love gossip. So I'm inherently intrigued by this.
Yeah.
I will also say that my Instagram is like for like business, most stuff. I'm like looking for inspiration for this, for other things. My TikTok is for fun.
Yeah.
It's like vibes. It's like cooking videos and basically that's it. I saw like 3 or 4 videos describing the Rippling v Deel. Like if you were trying to like infiltrate pop culture, this corporate espionage story is the way to do it.
Yeah.
It's like people are talking.
The fact that this has hit TikTok
is crazy.
I feel like Rippling can't even do that in their normal marketing campaigns.
No. I mean, and like they probably don't even need to, you know, like. But anyways, my real reaction to this is like, I'm not surprised that companies are doing corporate espionage. I also, in like learning a little bit more about Rippling and Deel, like they have kind of a lengthy history of like hitting each other in marketing, being very, very competitive with each other. They're both very large, growing, potentially going public. At least that's what the rumors are online. And so I think when they're like, it's kind of like the expectation is that one of these companies is going to quote unquote win. And so when you're seeing this like infighting between the two of them so intensely, they're like really doing punches.
Yeah.
This is very convenient for Rippling, I'd say.
I mean, convenient for Rippling, but also, again, this is all alleged. We're not lawyers. Read the stuff yourself. Their claim is that this is materially affected their business in a bad way. Like they've lost customers because of this. And for these companies, like a customer can have quite a large lifetime value, and has this given Deel the ability to maybe go public again, allegedly first, and really be positioned as this global leader. So like I do think this, while it's bringing a lot of attention to Rippling and to Deel right now, the lawsuit, I think, only works if there is material harm, and that is what Rippling is claiming in this complaint.
Yeah, and I think, so I think overall, this is just one of those like crazy stories that we're gonna see like an HBO miniseries about in 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited I will watch like every piece of content.
Every nerd in tech is going to be like, you got to check out this show.
Yeah,
and then like a normal person is going to watch it and be like, I'd rather just watch James Bond's like Casino Royale. So like, yeah, I mean, it's wild. I personally kind of forgot about corporate espionage. When this came up, I was like,
such a good point.
Oh, wait, like people hire spies to come into companies and steal secrets? And like, yeah, I assumed like for like defense tech companies, that was a thing, but like B2B SaaS?
I know. It's a little like embarrassing. You know, like you can't just win on your own.
I want to like go and investigate this alleged spy. Like, did they want to get into the CIA, but they didn't make the cut? Was their dream always to be a spy, but like they didn't get any good missions, so they did this one? Like, I need more information on this person because it is buck wild to me that you would even do this.
Something to note is that we're recording this on a Wednesday. It's coming out on a Monday. There's a chance that we learn more about this person.
That's true.
In between now and then. And so, sorry if we're a little behind on this.
It's going to be like Edward Snowden,
very excited to learn more about this situation, how they were approached, how much they were paid, like how this process worked. But the fact that this man,
it could be a woman.
It did come out this morning that it is a man. Right. I think his name's Kevin, but I don't know. The fact that this man Googled or slacked Deel 6,000 times before he was caught is like supreme levels of hating. Like, I love that. That's really funny to me.
Honestly, I felt like it was kind of a decent ad for Rippling's IT software, because I was like, man, they like did a pretty in-depth forensic accounting of this where they were seeing what Slack channels this person was previewing, and they call it out in the complaint that one of them was #PeopleDogs, where Rippling employees put photos of their dogs in a Slack channel. So, and this was like his pre-spy era.
Right.
So they were like, so before this certain date, they were doing preview searches of dogs and like normal stuff, and they would only do like one a day. And then in the spy era, they were like, oh, that changed. Then he was previewing Slack channels all the time, looking up Deel stuff. So behavior changed, and that's what they're calling out. Like, okay, something happened here.
So they're basically, if you don't work at Rippling or Deel, and you are not currently a corporate spy or wanting to become one, you might be like, why does this matter to me?
If you are a corporate spy, this is where you can pause the podcast
and email us. Give us details. We could put it in a future Am I the Asshole episode. Like, we just want to hear from you. And I personally just really want the details because I'm messy and I love that. But there's 3 things that I think are important to talk about. The first one that you mentioned is Slack. So Slack or Teams or whatever, corporate communication software you use is just that. It is corporate communication. And so Slack, we were discussing this earlier, actually stands for a searchable log of all company knowledge or something.
Yeah, that's approximately right.
Something like that. That's
what we aim for here on Per My Last Email.
We know the facts.
Yeah.
And so that is the stated goal of Slack, is you want to be able to search and find all company knowledge. And so what that means is when you're talking, even if it's a DM or a private channel, like there is somebody, whether it's the head of IT or the head of HR or, solicitors or whatever you said they were in Ireland, like somebody can see that communication.
Yeah.
It is so important to have good Slack etiquette. It's so easy to forget that you are not talking to a friend. You are talking to a colleague, even if they are friends, and that information is searchable. So my first tactic is do not say anything on your company communication software that you would not say to every single person's face and or a judge. Because there is a non-zero chance that it's probably small. The chances are probably nobody is going to read this.
Yeah.
But there is still a chance. And so you don't want to be caught saying things that are inappropriate, talking about things that are crimes that are illegal.
Do not state your crimes in a searchable database.
Well, yeah, but it's just like, just remember, have good Slack etiquette. Remember that anything that you're saying can be searched, even if you think it's private. If you really need to have a conversation about something, do a call, do a text.
Yeah. I mean, we all have had a scenario where you're like, I can't put this in Slack. Immediately take out your phone,
course,
just text
and
the
do a
person.
text.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but personally, I'm like that. I want to be able to Slack whatever I want. And like, I agree. Like, if you're slacking things inappropriately, the move is not to then text the inappropriate things. The thing is just like, why are you talking like that?
Well, yeah, I also think it's like you should like you can vent, you can kind of talk shit, but like you don't have to be. You shouldn't be like, ooh, that coworker is attractive or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
You shouldn't be doing that
you
at all.
shouldn't be doing that at all. And my point is like, I don't think most people are not actively searching your Slacks, but like if shit hits the fan, just know that like they can go pull those up. Same with all of your email. I think the broader point is that you get into this habit where you think your work is yours, but the way pretty much every employment contract is structured is that the company owns all the IP. Everything you do on the laptop is the company's laptop. It's theirs. They can search Slack. They can search email. And so I think we forget about that and we can start treating company property as personal property. Again, hand up, I do this. The first 3 years at Morning Brew, I only had the computer, a company computer, and I used it as a personal laptop. I think you're maybe in the same boat right now. Like, so, use us as bad examples, but the company owns the IP and like, just know that they can search all of that. And if you're in a situation, hopefully not a corporate espionage one, although that would be quite fun, they will pull all of that stuff up. And so be cognizant of that.
Yeah, and it feels like one of those situations, like if you have a big idea for your next big startup and you message somebody on company time on your Slack, like, oh my God, I have this great idea. Realistically, nothing's going to happen with it. But if it becomes the next $1 billion idea and you work at like Google or something, and Google, I think this was a Silicon Valley plot line now that I'm saying it, but and Google is like, you invented this on my time.
Yeah.
And I have the proof. Like that's not something that you're saying that's inappropriate necessarily, but it is something that could point to a career like blocker in the future.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back after this. Okay, back to the show.
It's a great point. And the other thing I think this brings up is like, when you transition from one job to the next, how should you think about what you learned at the previous company, the resources you may or may not still have access to, and what is cool to bring and what is maybe illegal to bring? Because in this complaint, it outlines like when the alleged spy signed the Rippling contract, there's terms in there that's like, you can't take our information and give it to anyone. It is a competitive advantage of Rippling. It's our IP. And so I think the same thing can be said. Like, I've seen people who run pretty close to that line where they leave a job, they go to another job that's like kind of doing the same thing. And I'm not, maybe some Google Docs got file downloads sent to personal email, and you're getting a little close to like, that is just kind of asshole behavior. There's nothing that's stopping you from taking learnings you have like in your head, like, I now better understand marketing because I worked at a marketer and I'm going to apply some of these strategies there. But I would say any document that was created for your previous company on company time, like, you should just keep that with the company. It's just not worth the risk.
Yeah, so this was my second takeaway from the Rippling v. Deel thing.
Yeah.
First is Slack etiquette. Second is taking your work elsewhere. So I think there's like this spectrum, right? Obviously, working for Deel while you're working for Rippling, not good, allegedly. That is clearly wrong, right? You're currently working for two deep, serious competitors. That is not cool, and that is expressly prohibited in your employment contract. Then there's like recreating something. So let's say you go from Rippling to Deel, and you were a salesperson, and you're like, oh, I had this really great document that outlined my sales process that I used to teach other salespeople. I'm going to recreate that from memory and then use that knowledge that I kind of built up at Rippling at Deel. That to me is like on the other side of the spectrum. That is 100% okay.
Yeah.
Like, you haven't downloaded the thing and reused it. You're rebuilding it from memory. Even if you have photographic memory, you're doing it perfectly. That to me feels like fine.
Yeah.
And then there's like the middle. And the middle is, I'd like to download this thing that I'm really proud of, and maybe I won't use it, but maybe I'll reference it. And it's like, that's probably fine.
Yeah.
And it's like when you're working at all. You're developing skills and knowledge and building that up. But there's some split between what is okay to take with you and what is not, as you were saying.
And I honestly, I'm like, for a normal person, you kind of know. If you feel it in your gut, it's like, if you have like a one-on-one template to run your one-on-one meetings, like, yeah, you could take that. It's not like company insights, company secrets. If there's a thorough company strategy document on how we're going to launch a new product, and you quit and go to a competitor and like download that and then run that playbook, like, come on, that's not cool.
Yeah.
So just use common sense.
Yes, but there's also like legal things in play that I have complicated feelings about. So let's talk about it now. But the main one is non-compete.
Yeah.
So a non-compete is an element of an employment contract that can specify you are unable to work for a competitor for X number of years after leaving our company.
Yep.
And the intention there is likely to prevent people from bringing that company knowledge over to a competitor. However, that non-compete has been used pretty aggressively to limit how people are able to progress in their careers. Yeah. And so I think it's like, I understand why a non-compete exists, and also they kind of suck and I kind of hate them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it is like a violation of freedom to just be like, yeah, I worked here, I want to take a job over here. I'm not taking secrets. Yeah. That's already illegal, but like, you should be able to go work where you want to work. Again, not an employment lawyer, so but I'm overall like the non-competes are an interesting concept that I think I'm opposed to generally.
Yeah. So there's actually a solution to this.
We solved non-competes.
It's an expensive solution, but it's been happening. Okay. There's certain non-competes that, and some of them are illegal. I think the FTC has in 2024 said that they're illegal, but nothing has been enforced or like confirmed. So there's that. But I understand you not wanting your employer or your employee to like take company secrets. So the finance industry actually has a solution for this, because once you're in the finance industry, you're like pretty entrenched in the finance industry. And if there are strict non-competes that are, again, fair, you don't want your IP to like be moving around, you will be stuck at one company. You'll never move. It's like, that would be horrible. Or you'd have to like take 2 years off before going to your next job. So they've invented something called garden leave. Garden leave is a paid like 3 to 6 month break in between your previous employer and your future employer. And I think it's the future employer that pays it, because they want that talent too. They want the talent, and they want their current employees to do that as well. So you basically get a paid 6 month vacation before you start the next job. And that increases or decreases based on how, like senior you are. Yeah.
And you said this was the finance industry, huh? Going to give Goldman a call later today. Very interesting concept. Yeah. I want to talk about one more thing.
Okay.
Nemesis at work.
Ooh.
So at the heart of Rippling versus Deel is an intensity of competition. And I think we often believe that having some sort of nemesis, someone you're competing against, will allow us to go harder, go further, win. Like you kind of need an enemy.
Yep.
And that could be a very unifying feeling. And it's clear that that is allegedly kind of how these companies operate, and that Deel may have gone from like healthy competitive mindset into illegal territory. What are your thoughts on work nemesis?
You really teed me up here, because this is one of my favorite topics. So first, before I talk about your personal nemesis and why they are extremely valuable at work and why I love having a nemesis, I want to talk about like the benefits of competition on like a broader scale. So this was my third and final takeaway from this.
Yeah.
Competition is inherent in a capitalistic society, with a few exceptions, right? And so you should expect, when you are in a business, to have competitors. If not, like, there's probably something wrong with that industry. But I think there's a limit to that. And public fighting, like what is going on right now between these two companies, is a little like on the edge of like what is okay, what isn't okay. Not including this, obviously, corporate espionage is an illegal thing. But there's like marketing campaigns where like Rippling had Deel as like a snake, and you like play the game and the snake is like charging you more for the same products or whatever. And it's like, okay, I understand you want to like call out your direct competitor. And then like there was some, like the COO or something of Deel went onto that site to play the game. Rippling found out about it, posted the exchange on Twitter, and it's just like, okay, there's like a lot of back and forth here that feels
Like a little messy and in public.
a little messy. And it's one of those things like you're fighting in the mud, you're both getting dirty, you know, and it's like not a good look for either. You guys are, this is a B2B SaaS company.
Yeah.
Right? We're not talking about like lip gloss. Like you don't need to be tussling.
I thought you were gonna say like we're not talking about like war, and
Okay, also
we're
that.
not, but we're also not talking about lip gloss. Also very important.
So it's just one of those things. It's like you guys don't need to be like publicly fighting.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a bad look for both companies. So I don't think you should be doing corporate espionage either. But I do think that competition is inspirational sometimes.
Yeah.
So when I have a competitor as a person, like I have somebody that I view as maybe not in my same company, but like we started in similar places. They're a little ahead of me. They're doing really cool stuff. I'm kind of jealous of that, but in a way that inspires me to like do more. So Roxane Gay is a writer and a really wonderful writer. She wrote Bad Feminist. She talks about the benefit of a nemesis, just in life, but we can apply it to work as well. This is something that I think we could do a whole episode on, and I would love to in the future. But the long story short is having a nemesis that doesn't like erode your soul, you know, like not somebody you truly hate, like want to see fail, but having a nemesis is like kind of good, kind of inspirational. Oh, that person did that thing. I could do that. So I'm going to try, you know, I think it's very good. But do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think having someone or something that is motivating to you, and if it's going to increase your output and like get you to your goal faster, I think that's a wonderful thing. Like if you're running a race and you see someone ahead of you, you're like, I want to pass that person. Right. It's motivating. I think where it crosses the line where like instead of you wanting to succeed and it's more focused on you achieving your goals, it's like, I want that other person to fail.
Yeah.
And I don't even care how good I do. It's like, I just want to see that person suffer. That's where I'm like, okay, maybe like you got to talk to a therapist or something, like what's going on here. So yeah, I think having a competitive drive and having something or someone to inspire you to do more is super, super healthy. I just think that when it turns to like, I want to see someone else fail, it's probably just like rotting your soul a little bit, and you should avoid that mentality.
Yeah, I think a little I want to see this person fail is like healthy, but a lot of it is like, okay, at that point it's not bringing you up.
Yeah, exactly. I think you spend more time trying to like bring down that person than actually getting your goals. And in some case, like I think again, it's healthy until it isn't. And in this Rippling Deel case, we saw where like a competitive spirit can make you do things that are like illegal. Yeah. That's definitely allegedly illegal. That's definitely crossing the line.
I agree. Okay, so we've kind of talked about the 3 takeaways, which are the importance of good Slack etiquette, the benefits and downsides of competition, and when and how you can take your work elsewhere to a different company.
Yes.
Are there any other tactics that you think or takeaways from this that are important?
My big takeaway is that I think Amazon has its next James Bond story, and it is this corporate espionage. We will be co-writers on the script.
Yeah, like
happy
Bezos,
to do that. Yep. Give us a call.
Yeah.
Besides that, go check out the complaint. It's absolutely hilarious. And if you have any corporate espionage stories, we need to hear them.
Please.
Give us an email per my last email at morningbrew.com. We'd love to hear from you. And let's roll the credits.
Let's do it.
Our producer is Michaela Heck.
Our technical director is Uchenna Ogu.
Tarek Abdelatif is a video producer.
And our president is Devin Emery.
This show is a production of Morning Brew.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Later, spies.